not doing any stenciling, I'm not doing any stamping. All I'm using, well, not all I'm using, but the main focus of today is this. Because I think it's one of those little unsung heroes, if I'm honest. You can make so many projects with just one pack. I mean, I've got both, and I'm making cards with both packs today. I was going to just use the florals, but to be honest, once I started, they mix and match so beautifully that I thought, why not? Let's use both. Now, what I would recommend is when you get your packs home, I would sit and stick some of your papers onto card and have a die cutting session like this, because then you've got so many bits and pieces ready to use at the drop of a hat. So if somebody comes to you and says, oh, I need a card for tomorrow, can you help me? Yes, no problem, I can do that. And these little sentiments with the die that comes with them to cut them out, this little square one here, I don't know whether you can just see that in there. All my dies are in one little bag. Because they're stuck to the card, I didn't want to keep sticking them back to the card every time, so I've put them all in one little bag for both sets, so I know that they're all together. But you can stick your washi down on card and then use one of your dies to cut it out. So I've gone with this set, so that's the one vase and that's the other vase, because you know, vases don't just come plain, do they? Vases come with patterns on them, etc. Now with this one, I probably did it wrong really. I just cut the flowers and the leaves out randomly and just stuck them onto card and then cut them out. What I should have done really, I think, is cut them really close, because I'm not sure that if you put the die on top of the washi without sticking it to card, I think you'll mess up the washi, to be honest. So I would cut them as close as, then stick them onto your card randomly and then put your vase shape on and cut that out, because that way then you get a vase with a pattern on, not just a plain old vase. But then there's another one here, and I used one of the other florals. These are from the animals set, but this one's from the florals, the whitewash florals. Now I don't know whether you can pick this up, but there is some crackling on the vase. Okay, so I've put my washi down, then cut my shape out, and then I've taken my crackle stamp and I've just used Cobblestone's blending ink and just stamped it on the top so that it gives it a little bit of age, and then I've glued 3 together to give it a little bit of depth, and then I will probably shape that round a little bit and then put some flowers behind it. So that, you know, numerous ways of using it with different die sets that you've already got. Okay, right, so let's go with the first one. Most of the cards are 7x7 and I've got a couple of 5x7s. So we're going to start with a 7x7 card blank, and then I'm using just one of the circle dies. Now this was just a scrap piece of card which I've stamped on, which didn't work out, so rather than just chuck it away, I've used the other side. Okay, so I've put my 3D foam pads on the back already. I'll just pop this down. Now there's a mark on here somewhere, so I'm going to put that so that you can't see it. I'm going to hide that with some of the flowers in a minute, and I think it's more or less in the middle. Can't be bothered to measure because that's just too faffy. Okay, so then this is one of the little wreaths. Now there's 2 in the set. There's a sort of a yellow and white based, and the other one is pinks and blues. But this one I thought I was going to do a complete wreath around this circle, but to be honest, the complete wreath is just a little bit too much. It just sort of overpowers the card a little bit for what I wanted. So I'm actually going to just go with 3. So I'm going to put these 2 down first, because I don't want them to go too far past the middle, because I want this to stay clear. So again, I've already put my pads on the back, so you can tell what I've been doing all morning, can't you? So I want that one there, and then I'm put the other one down the bottom, and then the other one can just go in the middle, and then I'm sort of filling my gap. But I just want these two to meet, you know, match how far around they come on the circle, and then I'll just fill the gap in with the other one. Okay, so I'll just pop these on here like so. Now, it doesn't matter if they overlap. In fact, I think they look better if they overlap, because it just gives your card a little bit of depth. Okay, so that's the start of your card. And then, as I say, I feel that they mix and match beautifully. So I've used the little elephant. He's one of my favourites. I do love the little animals. They're so cute. And I've just given him a balloon. Now, the balloons are in the set, and I always like to make it look like the animal is holding the balloon. So what I do is I use a little knife, and I just cut a slit around his trunk and underneath his trunk, and then I feed the balloon through, so it goes through the back. So it actually looks as though he's holding his balloon, rather than the balloon just sitting on the front as though you've sort of added it on as an afterthought. I just think it's worth spending a little bit of, just a few minutes extra, just to do those little tiny things that make your card look a little bit more special. I mean, I think they look amazing anyway, but I just think it's worth spending those few extra minutes sometimes. So there's my little elephant. And then I thought, well, I need a sentiment. So these are the sentiments that come on the sheets. So I've put 3D pad on one side, and then I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on this side, because I want it to be the same depth on the card. Okay, so it's going to sit on top of these, which have already got 3D pads on, and then this piece is just going to sit at the same level because I've put a 3D pad on that. And then I'm going to do the same down here with the other side, and I'm going to put speedy recovery. I might actually just put an extra little piece on there. I'll just take that off there, put another one on top, and then it'll be the same depth as the rest of my card, because I've got 3D pads on my circle and on my flowers, so it is quite a little bit deeper, this one. And then I'm just going to pop that on there like that. Card done. I mean, what could be quicker? And how cute does that look? You don't need anything else, do you? It's just so quick and so easy, and you can do so many different cards for totally different occasions. So that's the first one. Then this is the second one. Now you can see here, this is a 5x7, and this is one of the little vase shapes, totally plain, just for something different. But you can see that in the background I've used the abstract squares, the stencils. I've only used one of them, and I've just inked randomly in one of the colours that's in my flowers. Okay, so you don't need to use all three, don't need to make it busy if you don't want it to be busy. Alright, so I'll just add my little vase in the middle, and it is as simple as a vase and some flowers and a sentiment, and that's it. That's all you need. Just make sure it's straight. Now I do like using this one the other way up, because I do think this looks like the neck of a vase. I know it's meant to sit this way up, but sometimes I use it that way and sometimes I use it this way. If I've got flowers that are sitting behind the vase, then I'll turn it the other way up. But because I'm hiding the top of this, it was pointless turning it the other way up, because you wouldn't see it anyway. So I'm going to just pop that on the top there, so that it just looks like a floral arrangement in the vase. And then I'm just going to add my sentiment. And again, the sentiment comes from the same set. Don't want it to be over the card though. Is it straight? Yeah. Okay. Card 2. How simple is that? You can't get much more simple than that, can you? And this is why I think that the washi sets, for me, just... I don't think you can actually appreciate how good they are until you get them home and start playing with them, because they can give you so many different options, and you won't realise that until you actually get them home, cut them out and start playing. Now this one was just a little bit of fun, and I've used the log slices embossing folder, and then I've used this little stencil here. This came as part of a 3 set, I think it was the Christmas set, and then I've inked my leaves over here just on the side, just to give it a little bit of interest. But I've also added the same stencil on the background card, and then what I can do is line this up so that it looks like the leaves are behind and in front of those log slices. Okay, so again, I've already put my pads on the back, so I'll just make sure I've got that lined up properly so that my leaves follow on the background. And then I thought I'd put these two together, not for any other reason other than if a mouse and a cat were together, the sentiment that I've chosen would really sum it up, because, you know, cats and mice don't really get on, do they? So if they did and they played together nicely, so I'll just overlap them slightly so that it looks as though they're sitting together, and then put my sentiment on the bottom, they would be amazing friends. How cute is that? It's just, this is what I mean when I say, I don't think you realise how versatile these sets are until you start playing. So that's number 3. Now number 4 is a little bit sort of, might be a bit over the top if I'm honest, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So I'm going to stick these down on each corner. Okay, so these again are from the Whitewashed Florals, so make sure you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going slightly off the square. Now you can see that I've used the nested stitched bubble squares, I've used the nested circles, I've used the nested rectangles, and I know I've said it several times, they're staples in your card stash for me. I would not be without these basic shapes because they're just so useful, so useful. So I'm just popping these round all 4 corners. I don't mind if they're the same way up or different ways up, I'm not bothered. I just want them in all 4 corners of the card. And this card is so simple because the central piece is the sentiment as well as the central sort of part of the card. And you'll see what I mean when I add it down. Now the one thing I haven't done is add my 3D pads on the back of this square, because I wanted to add these and then I need to cut them down. So I didn't want my pads getting in the way. Okay, so I've put my 4 pieces down, and then sacrilege, I'm going to cut them down, because at the moment it just looks a bit of a mess. Well, I think it looks a bit of a mess. So what I'm then going to do is go round and trim off all those edges like so. If you want to save the little pieces, you can, and you can use those to fill in little gaps on other cards, and they'll always come in useful. So if you don't want to throw them away, keep them in your stash, and then you can use them to fill in little pieces on other cards if you want to. So although it looks harsh, it isn't really. And then we're going to pop this down here, and I'm just going to pop my pads on the back here. Probably need a few more. going to use this instead. So if I pop this down here, like so, I think it's pretty central. And then quite simply, all I'm going to add is that. And that is from this set. So I've just taken the centre out of the oval ornamentals just to make the centre of my card. Okay, and again, 3D pads on the back. I did toy with the idea of doing a bit of stenciling in the background, but do you know what? I thought, no, leave it, you don't need it. That says it all. And I really like that. Now that I've taken those edges off, I was just worried that it was a bit too much. But now that I've taken the edges off, it looks better. And I just think it's a nice card. So then finally, my last one. So we've done 5 cards today. But I just wanted you to see how quick and easy they would come together. Now I'm going to put this one flat, primarily for time. I probably would normally 3D it if I'm honest, but we'll put this one flat for now. Now I've put a stencil down the middle of this piece of card, and I've used the heart stencil, which again comes as a set of 3. That's this one. Okay, and I've just inked very lightly with Surf's Up and Sugar Candy through the stencil, and I've used a post-it note so that I don't go over the edge and I don't blend the colours. Okay, so then I want to put my heart down. My heart's going to sit in the middle like that, and I have already put my pads on here. So, you know, sometimes you get lots of baby cards for boys, baby cards for girls, but you rarely see one for unidentical twins. So what I thought was, I'd use the little rabbits, and I've used the die for the balloon, but I haven't used the actual image off the washi set, because the colours on the washi set weren't the same colours that I was looking for. So I've just cut them out of contrasting card, okay? And then I'm going to sit my rabbits, and I'm going to sit the pink one opposite the pink hearts and the blue one opposite the blue hearts, just for it to look a little bit different really. And again, I've put my 3D pads on the back because I do like a little bit of height on my cards. And I'm going to pop this one here and take my pads on the back, and then pop his little blue friend next to him. So I want them to be level. I want the hearts to sit in more or less the same place. I want to make sure he's the same, sitting on the same sort of. So I want the balloons to be in the same part of the heart on each side. Okay, and because there isn't a twins sentiment in the set, I just thought I'd go with congratulations, because I wasn't going to put it in the middle, but I think I will. There you go. So you've got a baby card for unidentical twins, which is going to be totally different to any other baby card for unidentical twins that anybody ever receives, and I just think that's really cute. So I hope that I've shown you how versatile this washi is. So this is the little die that comes to cut out the sentiments. So in the animals one, they're coloured, and in the Whitewash Florals one, they're white, they're clear. Okay, so you've got your little sentiments here. Where's my die? You pop your die on the top when you've added your washi to your card. Pop your die on the top, run it through your die cutting machine, and you've got 1, 2, 5, 6 sentiments there in one go. So then you've got all the rest of the dies that cut everything out, and there is a die for everything. Okay, so whatever you've got, whatever shape you're looking at, leaves, flowers, banners, balloons, animals, the 2 bunches of flowers, everything, even the little wreath. There's a little wreath in this, in the Whitewash Florals set. This one here, and your die will cut those out perfectly. And all you need to do is find a reference point on your image and find the same reference point on your die and line it up, and it is really quite easy. So once I've found that little leaf, that's how quick it is to die cut it out. So that's me for today. I hope that was okay for you. I hope you enjoyed that, just something a little bit different. So thanks very much for joining me, everybody. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you all soon. Bye now.